Every time Sabah talks about Malaysia Agreement 1963 or the 40% entitlement, someone in the peninsula says Sabah is being anti-federal. But the recent Sabah election shows a more complicated picture. Yes, MA 63 still matters deeply, but the results were also shaped by local political dynamics, long-standing frustrations and even disinformation. And this happens even as the Madani government takes some of the most concrete steps toward fulfilling MA 63 in decades. To unpack all this, we're speaking with Sabah veteran journalist Jason Santos, who was recently on the ground during state election, and historian Dr Shari Jeffry to help us understand how we got here.
Ada salah faham lah. Kita tak benci pun orang Selangor, orang Kelantan, Kedah, apa semua. The issue is not between Sabah people and Semenanjung people. Itulah ada, sometimes kita orang sejarah kan, kita pun susah hati juga. Apa dalam kehangatan pilihan raya banyak orang cakap yang terlepas cakap, dia kata orang Semenanjung, orang Melaya. Apa yang diorang tujukan Semenanjung dan Melaya itu specifically sebenarnya kepada administrative power dan legislative power, bermakna pusat pentadbiran lah. Diorang kata, okay, kita mau pihak government, kerajaan pusat untuk memahami intipati masalah Sabah macam itu. Nah, semua orang ingat, oh masalah Sabah pasal pembangunan, apa semua kan. Tapi it all boil down to sejarah pembentukan Malaysia. Sebenarnya banyak orang ingat, oh kita ni satu Malaysia. Jadi kita kena aku apa keputusan federal, semua mesti ikut. Kita memang ikut. Cuma kita perjuangkan hak-hak yang termaktub dalam perlembagaan itu. Kita pun tak maulah merayu-rayu minta duit dengan federal, minta ini dengan federal untuk bantu kita punya pembangunan. Kita dah sama-sama membentuk Persekutuan Malaysia sejak 1963. Kita cuma mahukan pembangunan setara.
All of this built up against these national parties have actually come a long way. It's not just in 2025, it goes back as 2013. Jeffrey Kittingan sort of started the idea of anti-federalism. I remembered when I was writing for The Insight at one point, I got scolded from my editor about this anti-hegemony sentiments. It was hard for me to actually write when it's actually happening on the ground. But eventually they understand that there's actually a growing sentiment that is not against West Malaysians or federal government. It's just the way how these political parties, national political parties acted in Sabah. There's also one famous incident in our state assembly. I think it was in 2013. When Jeffrey Kittingan was still the Bingkor assemblyman, now he's Tambunan assemblyman, whereby BN was still very much in power. There was a question asserted by Jeffrey in this Dun, and then it's over the review of the 40 review as in the article 112D, and then at the time Chief Minister now Tun Musa Aman, the governor, ada teriak lah, he shouted, apa review. So that was the mood of that was the understanding of the national parties at the time. Fast forward now, DAP tried to explain about their stand on the 40%. Prime Minister also tried to explain to the guy on the Gaya Street, it's still the same. They compounded the whole amount of the revenue entitlement, although this is a specific amount, it's a special grant, and federal commitment on development is another matter. He cannot conflate the whole thing into one budget or one allocation. So it's not new. It's been on for early 2000.
To understand today's frustrations, we need to go back to the beginning, to 1963 and the promises that shaped Malaysia's formation.
The leader during the time, which is Tun Mustafa, G.S. Sundang, and Tun Fuatiwan, they actually planned to put the agriculture, the 20 point, the development 20 point, and then this 20 point is is a form of protection and safeguard incorporated into IGC, and there are 20 points incorporated into IGC, and later incorporated into the federal constitution. The reason why they have this safeguard and whatnot, because the formation of Malaysia is not a level playing field. Federation of Malaya already independent, which is in 1957. And then moving forward, 6 years later, they already have the experience of forming their Federation of Malaya. Always remember, Federation of Malaysia just copy the process of Federation of Malaya. The process of Federation of Malaya. When I say they copy, meaning they have read commission, whereas we have Cobalt Commission. They also declare independent in 1957. We declare independent by way of joining Malaysia. But again, during this period, there's a lot of misinterpretation, misconception of independence itself, you know. So the decisioning process was, we are not ready, we need a few more years. That's why all this information, all this protection and safeguard was incorporated into constitution in order one day, later on, when we have more able, capable leader, they can actually demand what has been agreed upon during the formation of Malaysia.
But why do you think that these constitutional obligations keep being treated as negotiation or optional political commitments?
State has a different interpretation of the constitution. Federal has a different interpretation. That's why we could never settle on one thing. So the Prime Minister is advised by the AG, and so is our government is advised by the AG. So that's the main conflict for me.
Yeah, it's a matter of interpretation of the constitution. Who advised our Prime Minister, who advised our Chief Minister. To us who do research on MA63, our finding is different from what has been mentioned by AG or whoever advised the Prime Minister.
So let's get practical. Beyond all the narratives and misunderstandings, what does Sabah actually want Putrajaya to do?
Actually, what Sabah wants currently is greater control of their natural resources, so as that they can develop Sabah in a manner of which any other country wanted to develop their own country. What is the advantage of Sabah actually moving forward? This is what the real people of Sabah want. Actually, we can become Jelapang Padi, you know. We can become food security, you know. But our is whether we need to get federal consent to embark on a huge food security program. For example, we talk about monopoly, you know. Why we need to give beras to monopoly to one person, and then why we give sugar monopoly? This could be quite sensitive, but what I'm saying that is, why don't Sabah be producer of food security, you know, in Sabah?
So originally, all the rights, all that was agreed was actually in its truest form, but it downgraded, or you know, it's being taken one by one over the years, and now we are just reclaiming back what has gone, and then what has gone, and also demand our rights. So the question, going to your question, kan Azreen, about moving forward. Yes, so we at this point, Sabah requires a lot of funds to develop its own state. You need autonomy on that. One of the biggest problems is road infrastructures, water, electricity. This is very basic, and we are still macam sangat turun. Even in my place, even in this place, the place that I'm living, almost every day no water, and we are buying water at a premium price, which is a resale value from water department to a management company, and management company sell us the water, and it's not like young landed property, the regular 3 months, every 3 months they will get a bill. Yes, we need to fix a lot of problems. Infrastructure, very basic problems. Then we also have need education. We need a lot of money to we're supposed to have enough money like Sarawak to provide free higher education, but I don't know what happened. And then also those in the rural areas, they actually, some of them actually do much better than those in the urban areas. Yeah, they really need the basic infrastructure like health.
How do we move beyond myth and misunderstandings, and what would it take for ordinary Peninsular Malaysians to finally understand Sabah punya demand, the obligations under MA 63, the emotional and the political stake involved?
We move forward 60 years from it. We have what we call it local narrative. And when we have local narrative, we see that this information must be incorporated into the mainstream information. Like, for example, our history book, they must be in the form of it. Because why I say I do 3 projects now. One project is Gagasan Malaysia. Gagasan Malaysia is a project where I try to put the Borneo history incorporated into the Gagasan Malaysia. And then secondly, my second project is to get people to understand MA 63, the process flow. Why there is a difference between understanding of Malaysia 1963. Because MA 63, there will be 2 versions. That's what Jason said. There will always be Peninsular version of MA 63. There is another version which is Sabah Sarawak version of MA 63. So now we put it into record. This is the process, the progress, and then we seek to differ. See which is the area not inclusive. If people ask me recently, I was invited in one of the talk in about Gagasan Malaysia. I explained to them that we have no issue against anybody in the peninsula, especially the Rakyat. Our issue is the greater understanding of each other punya requirement, especially the process of our moving toward MA 63, the step, the process, the documentation. So I'm moving toward greater understanding about the process, so as that people will not have a misconception about MS63,
Why we have different understanding on MS63 is because of our education. History books growing up, they don't touch too much on the details of this agreement. So growing up, and then we had people like the late Zainal Ajmain and Jeffrey Kitingan and others. They started, including Shari. So when they found documents that just been released in the National Archives. Correct, Shari?
Yeah.
These documents was just released. So they bring it in.
Declassified documents.
Declassified documents. So new information started to come in. And our in the understanding of MS63, the formation of Malaysia is getting more in depth. This is not in mainstream news. This is not in mainstream schools. This is not something that is openly read. It is something that we have to open and start digging and maybe include that in our education system, because most of this confusion or disagreement right now is because of our education system. That's one. And also maybe all of this interpretation on Malaysia agreement, the deals that we have, our forefathers made, has a legal backing. We have this with this judicial review. There's an interpretation on the 40%. That is clear cut, but like federal appeal on the ground of judgment, and they agree with the High Court punya interpretation on the 40%. So that one should be written, should be made known widely, the whole Malaysia, so that people understand that this money belongs to Sabah. Orang tidak akan faham. A lot of people, macam Zaid Ibrahim, he's not happy with it. They say it will bankrupt federal government. I don't think so. You have taken 48 years of our money. It's just kasih balik saja.
At the end of the day, Sabah isn't demanding anything new. It's asking Malaysia to follow the agreement that created the country in the first place. Understanding that isn't about being pro or anti anything. It's about being honest about how Malaysia was built. Thank you for watching, and thank you to Jason Santos and Dr Shari Jeffry for helping us break this down. And this is Azreen Madzlan reporting for KiniTV.